Well, this is somewhere we haven't been in a while, right? So, Wagwan everyone, Zanjuchi here, and welcome back to the channel. And of course, today, whenever this is going up, we're obviously tackling the final episode of Yashahime Princess Half Demon. Of course, for those of you who are wondering, let me just stop clapping. For those of you who are wondering, why I haven't, covered the series in the longest while, to be honest, I like Attack on Titan. Like I got into Attack on Titan like, recently, relatively recently, and I've been binging, so yeah. So I don't think anybody can blame me versus like Yashahime versus Attack on Titan. Priorities, right? But all the same, I did react to a lot of the episodes of this series and review it, so I think it's only right that I actually at least watch the final episode. Of course, I've naturally caught up and watched episodes that I didn't see, so I guess I'll see what this final episode has to offer based on the preview. It says it's the final episode, so let's see how it goes. I think the biggest questions I'll have coming out of this episode is that will there be a continuation, a part 2, season 2, something? Who knows? But I guess I'll see where this episode takes me, and I'll give my final thoughts on the series on a whole. So yeah, but anyway, if you're new here, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to give a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on Yashahime, and let's get into the reaction. Yeah, I was really surprised when she broke Tenseiga last episode. And then the General Kirinmaru. Honestly, yo, I don't know. I'm not feeling Zero as a character. But hopefully this final episode has a sick battle. Yo, anytime Kirinmaru as a show the past 3 is like, yo, I'm like laser focused on what's going on, honestly. Because honestly, to me, Setsuna and Kirinmaru are really who makes the series all that much better. Of course not, you guys got your ass kicked by him before. I mean, I'm pretty sure Totosai could, using a fang of his could repair it. The box Saiga! That's... oh. Ooh! Are you getting another Kirinmaru versus Shomaru fight? Even this whole protect Kirinmaru life kind of flimsy to me, honestly. Be gone with the thunderclap. Are they really setting up like a part 2 to actually capture the rainbow pearls? Honestly, if a Kirinmaru dies, I'm honestly disappointed. Ah, make sure. And then to me, even if the Zephyr still even fight Kirinmaru at this point, it just feels... No. Like... Seriously. No, but dude, why did Towa think? Why would they make Towa say a line like that? You were holding back on us last time. Like, obviously, like, come on, dog. Anyway. Dang. Fight looking clean so far. You can actually reflect. Alright, the blood bleed. Ooh, nice. Honestly, there shouldn't be any way they should be able to beat Kirinmaru. Honestly, like, it just wouldn't make sense. Oh, Toto sign, nice. Come on, bro. Ah, Jano. She actually called her sis in her last moments. Alright, true Beniyasha. Does come back and know it. But I guess as them said, she doesn't have the rainbow pearl anymore. So yeah, so everybody's like a full upgrade. Yo, our hair is growing longer now, yo! Yo, Towa looks sick with the long hair, but not lie. Huh? Okay. So did he die? Yo, what are they? Oh, what? She can just create barriers now. Whoa. I still say they shouldn't be able to beat him. Wait, what the hell? Yeah, what this one? Hold on, let me not understand. Why them switch to this type of visual? This seems like they might really overdo it. Now granted, that the final episode still. Alright, a splendid effort, but it ended the way it should end.
私みたいなやつのことを言うんだ。なんて私は弱いんだろう。
And then just gone? Yeah, well, typical Sesshomaru. Ah, of course. Yo, so that was episode 24, the final episode of season 1 of the Yashahime Princess anime. And of course, we're going to be segueing into my thoughts on the episode and my thoughts on the series on a whole, which are going to be probably controversial despite my enjoyment of the series. So yeah, this episode in particular, I enjoyed it. The fight between the girls and Kirinmaru was, it was OD. They really overdid it in terms of the visuals. I was not expecting them to take on this kind of space looking visuals for the final fight. It definitely, at least, it definitely had that final episode of a series or final fight kind of vibe. But it was like extraness, like extra. But I loved it all the same. It was an interesting choice of visuals on their part. Of course, the voice acting was great. I love especially Towa in her full demon, or or when her demon blood takes over form. Let's put it like that. I think I prefer her with the longer hair. And I think I really do, because even when she's in full human form, her hair is a bit longer. So I don't know, I think the longer hair design works for her. Even though I know they're going for kind of more of a tomboy, kind of vibe when it comes on to Towa's character, but it is what it is. But this episode I thought was good, but I think overall, if we didn't get the confirmation like right away that there was going to be like a season 2 or next season in general, I think I'd be really disappointed coming out of this episode, if I'm being honest. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying as I reacted and reviewed a lot of Yashahime coming up from like episode 1 to about 15 or 16, or in general, where I was saying that Inuyasha, when it comes on to the franchise and how it was actually executed, we had the characters go around from village to village, and usually whatever predicament was going on in that village, it was used as a means to not only give our main characters conflict to solve, but it kind of tied in and gave the characters opportunity to form some parallels with the issue in the village to develop the characters at the same time. That's like the tried and true Inuyasha formula. And in some cases, the village may or may not be tied to the main story, our main plot, our main villain. In Inuyasha's case, some villages might have jewel shards, or some might not, but for the most part, the formula worked when we had our previous cast of characters. And when it comes on to the context or the confines of the sequel series here, Yashahime, I think that works. But one criticism I had was I didn't want it to be a case they kind of rinsed and repeated that formula, and then I don't think it even worked as well as Inuyasha to begin with, that formula in this series case. But I didn't want it to attempt a lukewarm version of that formula, and then by the end they rush towards the ending. And I think episode 16, which is I think is the episode with Moroha's master, is the biggest example, which to date is still the worst episode of this season. I think that episode is the best example of what I've had to say, and probably to a lesser degree represents my issue with the series on a whole so far, where it feels like we're lacking something. We're lacking some form of build up and payoff. And I'm not saying, don't get it twisted, I don't hope I'm not really confusing things to say that I'm not saying there hasn't been build up and payoff in some cases, but I feel it's kind of lukewarm, if you get what I mean. And granted, I think just generally speaking, most spin-offs may or may not suffer from that kind of thing. And it's not even just a live up to the previous series kind of thing. I just feel like with Yashahime, yeah, there's been layer of lukewarmness when it comes on to it, because think about it, like, all right, so in terms of the struggles, and not to say we can't empathize with the characters and what they're going through, but one, Moroha, I liked her initially. I still like her. I think she's still my favorite out of the three. And I think what they were going for with her character, they never really like fully followed through with her being, somewhat of an outcast as well, being, alone or whatever the case may be. It just doesn't feel like things were fully followed through with that. And then when it comes on to the whole dream butterfly plot, it's like, okay, Towa wants to get back Setsuna's ability to sleep, but at the same time, it's like Setsuna herself doesn't really care all that much about it. And so it's like, if the character I'm following with this issue doesn't really care, why should I care either? It's like, and then I wouldn't want to go as far to say some of the stuff was contrived, but it is what it is. I don't know. But I think the best thing for this series is the fact that there is a season or upcoming season. Because honestly, if the series ended here, it would just be like, It was a good watch. As an Inuyasha fan, I think Inuyasha fans should watch the series still, but I don't think it's like, if you weren't an Inuyasha fan, it's like, yeah, no reason to necessarily watch. But I have enjoyed the series all the same, despite all that criticism that I'm saying here. But especially since, I'm still looking forward to getting back Inuyasha and Kagome, who haven't even been referenced in this last episode at all. So if my predictions are, on the money, then more like the next season, more likely is going to be a very, I think, Moroha centric season. Granted, I think it's gonna be balanced out with Towa and Setsuna and everything, and the fact that we have Sesshomaru gave Towa the Tenseiga here. So there's that. And of course, Totosai did say there's going to be a new sword being born, so more than likely it's gonna be born from Tenseiga, maybe, probably. Granted, it's kind of like, like the Great Dog Demon giving his sons his, fangs as a basis for his swords, and then Sesshomaru's giving back that same fang to to Towa, so to probably make it her own. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes from that. So there are a few unfinished plot lines. There are things to look forward to from, this season or this episode going to the next, and I think that's probably the biggest positive coming out of this first season, because this season as a whole, it's enjoyable. But for me personally, it's like a 6 out of 10 for me for this season. But yeah, in terms of like my favorite characters of the show, like this season, like of course Sesshomaru, Kirinmaru. Obviously, like as an antagonist, there's much more to Kirinmaru than meets the eye. So I like him definitely, but I think when it comes on to the girls, and like the girls need work, honestly, in terms of how the story is executed to build them up and give their payoff from a narrative and I guess character aspect. Yeah, I think they just need more, honestly. So yeah, because even when we were going through the whole idea of like at the start of this episode, we were saying like, yo, Towa's comparing Zero to her, and it's like, I see what you're saying, but it just feels kind of surface level, like coming out of the episode. Like, I don't know if you get what I mean. Just let me know if you can empathize or see where I'm coming from with how I feel about this series. So yeah, but I don't think it can get worse from here. I think it can only get better at the same time. So yeah, there's a desire to see the series do better, if I must say so myself. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the story is going to go, because Love Zero, New Sword, Kagome, and Inuyasha, there's a few things that need to be resolved to say the least, and there is much more room for improvement when it comes on to the main characters, if I do say so myself. So yeah, but anyway, let me know what you guys thought. Of course, let me know your thoughts on the Yashahime series as a whole, and Of course, if anything else, if anybody's interested in talking about Yashahime in the end of month, subscribe, live stream. You can hear more of my thoughts there at the end of the month. So yeah. But anyway, thanks for tuning in if you made it this far. Respect if you've been a big supporter of not only this video, but my Yashahime review and reaction series. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. Despite, I think, probably my quote-unquote harsh criticisms, I'm still happy that they were getting more Inuyasha, but I just want better execution and payoff by the end of it. And I think season 2 is really going to give us that. So yeah, Sanji Uchiha, and I'll see you in the next video.